we are discussing the current state of things in Nigerian politics, the state of politics in Nigeria, whereby the ADC that the Nigerians are looking up to as a viable opposition is now also embroiled in crisis. Is now embroiled in crisis. This is the situation of the one of the leading new opposition party we expect that will become an alternative to APC, where people will be able to have alternative to present their choice, to pick, to choose their choices, to make their choices. It's also now is now embroiled in crisis, leadership crisis that we never expect is to engulf them. What? How did they find themselves in this situation? There have also led executives of that party. Some and some few officials at the national level resigned. And Atiku and his followers, Ralph Aregbesola, former governor of Osun State, Rotimi Amaechi, El Rufai, David Mark, and the rest of them, Peter Obi, they all move en masse into that ADC, that is African Democratic Congress, the new party, which was not formed by them, which was already in existence, but they took over the leadership of that party when they claimed Ralph Nwosu led executives, and some members of the executive, not all the members at the national level, they signed their position and they filled up a position and took over the party. But it didn't go down well with the other member of the national executive of that party and the state leadership of that party. At the local government level, another level of that party, they claim they are not in agreement with how David Mark and Atiku and Co took over the leadership of their party at the national level. And so, by so doing, they instituted a legal case against them at the High Court. This is the subject of litigation that's going on presently in the Federal High Court. As this, who is the right leadership of that party now? Is it David Mark led executive or Alhaji Gombe, a member of the existing national leadership, who claimed that David Mark and the rest illegally came through the back door and took over the leadership of their party against their interests, and which the claim was totally legitimate, not right, and they are now engaged with them in a court of law. And by now, it's now a subject of litigation. There is litigation going on as regards the leadership of that party now, such that David Mark executive made an appeal on the ruling of the Federal High Court, which was dismissed by the Court of Appeal, who now said, go back to High Court where the matter has been tried. Let the matter be tried on its merits, and a pronouncement made by the High Court of who is the true leader of your party. Will it be you, David Mark led executive, or Alhaji Gombe, who is threatening, who has instituted a case against you that you took over the leadership of the party in the wrong way, in a legitimate way? And not only that, the Court of Appeal also said, let there be status quo, return to status quo. And what is the status quo as interpreted by the Supreme Court? The status quo as was interpreted by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, as claimed by INEC and legal team, being announced by Professor Amukuson, was that status quo is state whereby there was no crisis, whereby the party officials at the national level were at peace. They are not as local as there was peace. And what is that period? That was the period of Ralph Nwosu led executive of the party at the national level. And what the issue now is that with Ralph Nwosu, who have resigned his position as executive member of the national chairman and some few members at the national level, will they now come back to come and take back the position they have resigned from? Is it possible? The position they have resigned from, is it possible for that to happen? This is the problem APC, this is the problem ADC has found itself. The so-called leadership of ADC, this is the problem they have found themselves right now. They are no longer recognized, the David Mark executive is no longer recognized by INEC as the authentic leader of the party, because they are now embroiled in leadership talks by the Federal High Court, and which has to be determined by Federal High Court. And the true leadership of the party now have to be now known and pronounced by High Court, which is what INEC claim we will now recognize. This is the position ADC find themselves. We can see now the only opposition we think will become a rivalry to will become a rival to APC. That people will be able to have alternatives to choose from as now embroiled in a legal tussle, legal controversy, as sort of the way the personal leaders took over the leadership of the party. They just jump into it without looking at the crisis the party have been involved with. That's the problem we have with the opposition party now, ADC. And we are hoping that it will be resolved quickly so that at least for now, Nigeria can be hoping to have alternative that Nigeria can choose from. There must be alternative for the content to be competitive and to be interesting. You must have alternative, and that is what we're expecting ADC to be. But now they're being embroiled in legal tussle of leadership. We hope they quickly resolve this and they will provide alternative for Nigeria to choose from, either ADC or APC, so that we can have a competitive election 2027. Thank you very much.